Welcome, Sir Coronica. Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, hello.
Hi, how are you, ma'am?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
That's nice. Can you please give a brief introduction to us?
Yes.
Doctor?
Me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Dichen Liu from Beijing Foreign Studies University, and I am an English major student, mainly studying the field of linguistics. And it has been my great honor to be here to attend this conference with you. And I hope we can have a very lovely morning together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Little ma'am. Well, can please, everyone, can you please just put your cameras on? Also, please rename your Zoom account. That will help us to record your presence. Let everybody join in, then we'll start with the conference. Korkana, sir, can you hear us? Okay, might be he's facing some technical glitches. Rajkumar, sir, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, are you the chair? Ritika Gupta, are you the chair?
Yes.
I don't know if you've been informed that I need to do my presentation
Yes.
at least by 8:15.
We'll take
Okay.
care of that, sir. We'll take care of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Dr. Froilin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, ma'am.
Welcome to the conference.
Thank you.
Also, can you please give a brief introduction about you?
Good afternoon, everyone. So from the fitness, I'm Dr. Ferdinand. I'm the current Deputy Director for Research, Development, and also the Extension Coordinator of the Philippine Merchant Marine Academy, and also the Editor-in-Chief in the International Journal of Multidisciplinary Business and Education Research at Malang, Indonesia. So I've been with the research and development for almost years.
All right. Thank you so much for your lovely introduction. Let everyone join in, then we'll just start with the call. Korkana, sir, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome
morning.
to the conference. Good
Morning.
morning. How are you?
Fine, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Can you please give an introduction?
Yes, ma'am. Myself, Korikana Apaji, from Department of Education and Education Technology, University of Hyderabad, India. I'm present. I'm fourth year PhD scholar in Education Department. So this is my introduction.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your lovely introduction.
Thank you.
Now you're most welcome. Okay, now we'll begin with the conference.
Yes.
Welcome to Eurasia Research International Conference. Today we have these many participants who would be participating in our conference. Today we have presentation and participants from 10 countries around the world. That is Philippines, Ghana, USA, South Africa, Somalia, Romania, China, Thailand, Turkey, India. We are broadcasting this conference on Facebook Live on multiple pages of Eurasia Research. The links for the live sessions are shared in the chat box. Please allow me a moment to introduce Eurasia Research in a nutshell. With over more than 1 million satisfied members and associates spread across the globe, Eurasia Research is a scholarly association who have been working for nearly a decade. Eurasia Research has organized several successful international conferences, workshops, and training programs at various reputed institutions and grand venues. Eurasia Research has been tirelessly working for research world and have not stopped their endeavors even during the COVID era, and have presented research community with online platform, which was safe and convenient method to continue their passion. We are an international community of researchers, practitioners, students, and educationists who aim to bring together worldwide researchers and professionals, encourage intellectual development, and to create opportunities for networking and collaboration. These objectives are achieved through academic networking, meetings, conferences, workshops, projects, research publication, academic awards, and scholarship. We provide scholarship to deserving candidates to promote student and research scholars to participate in international conference. Young researcher scholarship is provided in the form of full registration fee waiver. We have vast experience of publishing paper for more than 7 years. Our associated journals publish original papers, review papers, conceptual framework, analytical and simulation models, case studies, empirical research, technical notes, and book reviews. We cater to more than 30 plus themes in the area of teaching and education and have registered ISSN and have following re-own indexing, Google Scholar, cross-check, authenticate, Crossref, the Keepers Registry, Script, Portico, ROR, Directory of Open Access Scholarly Resources, OAI, PMH, Registered Data Provider, PKP Index. We will be soon applying for Scopus 2. We have a wide network of 100 plus internationally acclaimed keynotes across the globe who share their knowledge and guidance with our participants with open hands. We have a large number of committee members and advisors who support us and guide us through their expert opinions and decision-making capabilities. We couldn't have thought of reaching here without them. We also encourage our participants to connect with more than 15,000 followers on our social media platform where they can share their interest. Join our Facebook group and be a part of discussion by researchers and academicians. We also have several collaborations with universities, colleges, and institutes to better serve all interested and like-minded intellectuals. With a great enthusiasm and pride, we would like to announce our latest project, which is the Terra Fellow Program in Education. The program offers an opportunity to learn the key concept and latest trend in the teaching industry from the academic stalwarts. We have launched free of cost for all the members of Teaching and Education Summit for all research, practitioners, students, and educationists. We would like to share some of our past participant experience with you. Thank you for your patience and valuable time. Moving forward with the conference. My name is Ritika Gupta. I'm today's conference host. Moving forward, our Terra president is Dr. Lynn Selly, Dean of Graduate and Professional Study, LaSalle University, New Miami, US. Let's see her video.
Hello, my name is Dr. Lynn Chelly, and I'm the Dean of Graduate and Professional Studies at LaSalle University in Newton, Massachusetts, United States of America. I'm proud to be coming to you and bringing you this video on behalf of Eurasia Research and TERA, Teaching and Education Research Association. I have been a privileged member of this association for many years. As a participant, as a speaker, as a keynote speaker, as a peer reviewer, as the president of the advisory board. I'm here to welcome you and encourage you to participate in this wonderful organization. Membership has its privileges for this organization. You meet wonderful, diverse people from all over the world that bring new and creative, innovative, and entrepreneurial perspectives in teaching and educational research. TERA is a wonderful place to be. As a participant, I encourage you to join and become a member. I also encourage you to submit proposals to do breakout sessions. They are the most valuable and rewarding professional experience you could ever have. As importantly, Eurasia TERA does organize their conferences, both virtual and in person, in such a way where you get to know people personally, know their work, know their research, and get to know them as people, which is most important in our business, relationships. It has expanded my horizons, expanded my professional growth and development, and I continue to look forward to being part of this wonderful organization. Part of attending a conference in person, or you're an observer, you get to interface and interact on social levels as well as academic levels with everyone involved. We stay in touch after conferences. We share research. We help one another become better at what we do, become better in our educational professions, become better in our research. Again, membership has its privileges. The networking is amazing. Expanding your skill set is amazing. It keeps you in the growth mindset, which we always should be in as educators. And every conference, as I said, has a variety of perspectives that it brings for every person in attendance, no matter what role you have. You will find many pearls of wisdom that you can bring back to your own work and apply immediately. So I encourage you to get in touch with me if you wish at Lynn, LYNNECELLI @gmail.com with any questions. And I also encourage you to visit the website so that you may be able to see exactly not only the professional growth we have, but such fun we have with the relationship building. I look forward to seeing you at another conference and a new conference, and hopefully meeting you personally and professionally.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lynn Chelly, for your wonderful words. Moving forward with the conference. Next up, we have our eminent speaker, Dr. Margaret Wozek, Assistant Professor, SWPS University, Katowice, Poland. Let's listen what she needs to say.
My name is Małgorzata Wójcik. I am an assistant professor and a researcher at University of Social Sciences and Humanities in Poland. Well, I never had a thought of not carrying on my research, so that was a natural thing because we kept on going, and because I'm researching bullying at schools on all levels and from all angles, that did not stop. So bullying did not stop during COVID. So we had to go on with the research and see how it changes in a changing circumstances. So that was my main motivation to carry on research. And if you're carrying on the research, you want to present it and you want to share it. So that was my motivation to do the research and to share it during conferences. Okay. Well, in the pandemic, there was no other choice, right? So the only thing was to attend online conferences, if any. But generally, I think that attending in person is much better for multiple reasons. For example, you really build a relationship with other researchers, and that it cannot be done online. I know you try very hard, and there is quite a lot of activities that are to encourage that, but it actually does not happen very much. And so if I have a choice, when I have a choice, I hope I will soon, I definitely go for in-person attendance. When I think about my international cooperations and my international projects, they always started at conferences, but not during the presentation, but afterwards. So, small talks and, starting the conversation and asking the question about the research. And then we started cooperation. And that has not happened so far during online conferences. So they're great that we can do them. But if we have a chance, let's get back to in-person if possible. Yeah. So yes, well, of course, if you're doing the research, you have to present it. It's a very good way of showing what you're doing and getting opinions and having that conversation. So right now the pandemic is still on, the war is on. So now if you cannot go and participate, yes, I do encourage to participate online because what the other choice. Your conferences are very safe spaces especially for young researchers and those who do not have a great experience presenting in conferences. So this is the main thing. I think I really like presenting in conferences because it is just a very safe and relaxing, I would even say, space for presenting. So, and there are people where I'm presenting in education and learning conferences. So this is also my environment, my people. So that everybody is talking about different aspects of education in different aspects, or how to encourage learning and how to make a learning environment better. So I really like the different angles and different methodologies of research that are presented. So this is a really good thing about your conferences. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wójcik, for your lovely words. Moving forward with the conference. Next up, we have our next eminent speaker, Dr. Mario Pace, Senior Lecturer, Italian Department of Humanities and Languages in Education, Office 223, Old Humanities Building, Faculty of Education, University of Malta, Malta. Let's see his video.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
I am Dr. Mario Pace from I lecture I'm a resident senior lecturer within the Department of Languages and Humanities of the Faculty of Education of the University of Malta. I think we all agree that the COVID-19 pandemic offered a great challenge to everybody, including researchers and people involved in education like myself. We had a choice practically. We either sit back and wait for the pandemic to pass, or else we had to find alternatives and we had to move on. One of the biggest advantages of online conferences is that irrespective of your family commitments, irrespective of your work commitments, it is much easier to participate because you just go to your office, turn on your computer, and there you are in the outside world. So yes, I definitely, at least until the pandemic is over, and hopefully will revert, although I believe that after the end of the pandemic, we will move on towards a hybrid system of conferences where we will have in-person and online going on together. What I liked most about the conference is that it was quite a closely knit conference, in the sense that there were not hundreds of participants, and it was therefore very focused. It was a very focused conference where the participants had enough time to share their research with the others, because sometimes in very big conferences, you're allotted 10 to 15 minutes and it's a race against time. Whereas in this conference, the participants had ample time to show their results, show their research, speak about their research, and then there was even enough time to discuss insights, feelings, and what one wanted to discuss with the other participants. So that, I think, is a big plus in this conference, being able to share without any rush your research, your results, and discuss with people who are interested in your subject, because it was a very focused conference, with all those present. Bye, thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much, Dr. Pate, for your outstanding words. Moving forward with the conference. Next up, we have our conference schedule. That will be session 1 will be our keynote talk. Session 2 will be our team activity and photo session. Session 3 will be a technical talk. Also, please rename your Zoom account with your full name in English. This will help us to record your presence. You may also ask your question related to the presentation in the chat section while the presentations are going on. And all the certificates, receipts, and proceedings will be sent to the participants within a week on their email ID. Moving ahead with the publication process. The publication process starts once the registration process is complete. The author needs to send their papers, consent forms, and reviewer details on the email ID, that is convener@eurasiaresearch.info. The review reports will be sent to the author once the review process is over. The final stage of publication starts after receiving the revised paper from the authors. Please note that the publication process takes around 50 days after the conference dates if all the editorial guidelines are followed within the given deadline. Moving forward, we have our first keynote speaker of the day, Dr. Fräulein D. Mobo, Assistant Director, Department of Research and Development, Philippine Merchant Marine Academy, Zambales, Philippines. His topic is Emerging Technology amidst the pandemic. He is a graduate of Doctor in Public Administration from Urdaneta City University class of 2016. And also a graduate of second doctorate degree, PhD in Development Education at the Central Luzon State University, Nueva Ecija, Philippines. After obtaining his doctorate degree, he was promoted and designated to the position of Assistant Director, Extension Coordinator, and Associate Professor of the Department of Research and Development and Extension in Philippine Merchant Marine Academy. And this gave him an opportunity to work with a different international research institution, such as Regional Directorate, PhD Lecturer, in CL Academic, Malaysia, lecturer in Graduate School, Columban College, Olongapo City. He was also appointed as the editor-in-chief in International Journal of Multidisciplinary Applied Business and Education Research, Milan, Indonesia. As a researcher by heart, he is an external peer reviewer in various international research journals and has been invited as keynote resource speaker in various international conferences abroad and international university around the globe. In 2019, he was awarded as Outstanding Alumnus in Graduate School of Urdeta City University and was a multi-awarded international researcher and global leader from 2020 at the present. Recently, he was appointed as the ambassador at large, country ambassador and director of International Human Rights Movement Philippines under the umbrella of United Nations. At present, he was appointed as Technical Research Evaluator by Department of Science, Technology, and was able to publish 56 research articles with 23 citations in ResearchGate and 13 citations in Google Scholar Index in Google Scholar, EBSO, DOAG, ISI, Crossref. He also published 12 international books in Europe, Indonesia, and India. Now, let's see his video presentation.
Good morning and good evening from the Philippines and all around the globe. So I'm Dr. Ferdinand D. Mobo from the Philippine Merchant Marine Academy. Welcomes you all to our conference in Eurasia. So my task for today, for this morning and around the globe is to discuss about the emerging technologies in education. Emerging technology, it is being defined as those technologies which represent new and significant developments in the field, of course, of educational technology and information technology. So the purpose of the information, of course, in this type of technology is to help educational institution agencies during the planning style, and this will be able to create a new and available for the purpose of using this, and it will be having an evolving impact society. That's why the emerging technology trends in 2020 up to present really drives not only other technological framework, but because of the abrupt changes in the global community, most of the industries, even the professional, they hope to adapt this platform by following certain protocol. So as you see on the screen, you will be able to see that most of the uh, consumer or people during the COVID-19, they preferred to use this platform as part of doing research and development. So available today, technologies that are new but available today, it's either through an information technology support vendor or vendor partner, but they can still download those applications or other platforms in the internet. Sometimes they offer it for free, but sometimes they need to solve everything. Another good example is the graphical information system. This is, of course, to capture pictures, just like what we are doing right now. We're having our online discussion, forum, hybrid learning, and for part of it, they can also integrate an augmented reality and virtual reality, just for the purpose of locating a particular location. And of course, this is to capture, store, manipulate, and analyze, and it will present all types of system or specification. You see on the screen, you have all data sources. So by using the AR in the augmented reality and virtual reality, they will be able to present it nicely. So also the voice over IP plays a vital role during this pandemic because it is technology that allows you to make voice call using broadband internet instead of a regular or analog phone line. So this would be able to give past performance, and of course it can also be used for other tasks. Okay, so these are the frameworks, okay, to connect them to each computers. So on the rest of technologies that are new and will be available in the future would be marketable enough. So virtual networking is also there. This is a technology that facilitates data communication between two or more virtual machine. It is similar to traditional computer and other related components in a virtualized computing environment. So cloud computing is also there because this is the most demand available computer system resources. Especially this one can store and compute power without directed active management by the centers. So it depends on the uh, part of the preparation. And another thing is, as you see out on your screen, using the e-platform, things will be able to be easily be used. And Web 2.0, it refers to website that emphasizes user-generated content, which is also ease of use, participatory culture, and interoperability uh, chances. So in the future of data, emerging technologies in research focuses on the cloud computing, just like, for example, during those years, 2013, 2015, and even 2018. So those are good examples that okay. And part of that, 2018 will be remembered as a landmark year in the history of the data economy. So mark up those as dramatic increase of consumer awareness of the power, scope, and risk of corporate data strategies, and maybe specific changes to the regular environment process, because using the emerging technology platform, it will be able to boost up, of course, not only the economy, but the infrastructure which is really being done. So the cloud grows up, of course. This is according to 200 business and technology executives to understand how many companies are using cloud platforms. So consistent with an earlier version of the same study regarding virtual discussion, it's very important to be part of it. So of course, this emerging technologies that we are using, there are so many examples that it might be able to consider. For example, the state of the art equipment. For example, we have emerging technology, and then in fact, many of them are still in the case of robotics and artificial intelligence will continue radically reshape themselves and thus continue emerging, just like what other group are doing right now. And of course, example of the emerging education technologies, for example, we have augmented reality, the virtual reality. There are other in the lower part. We have good emerging technologies that can be done. Even algorithms can be done for this, and even asynchronous learning and micro learning. These are associated with the economic subjects. Of course, the live streaming, you can do it as easy as you can. Of course, AI is there. Social learning is can be open from time to time. So for this one, the educational trends between 2020 and to 2021 coming in, the machine learning and the Internet of Things. Biggest educational trends of this group. So ever, distance learning has become the one trend that rules them all. So the COVID-19 pandemic has drastically changed whether we teach and learn, and students know how to get used to distance learning via digital platforms. Of course, in the latest education technology trends in 2020 and further studied about this, they revolutionize a strong focus on connectivity, versatility, and student-centered learning. So one of the biggest barriers in the incorporate uh, technologies, you will be able to see that that is really good. So I would also to invite all research and writer. You can submit a paper, call for a paper for this journal. Okay, and of course, this coming December 19 to 11, 9 to 11, we will be hosting the conference, international conference, which is based in Indonesia. And this is also a good opportunity for us. So once again, I would like to invite those research practitioner that wants to submit their paper for the international conference, which will be done here in the Philippines through internet. Okay, so that would be all for today. So, maraming salamat again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mobo, for your beautiful presentation. Also, if anybody has any question, they can ask in the chat box. The speaker will try to answer you there. We'll move forward with the conference now. We have our next keynote speaker, Dr. Patama Satwudin, Assistant Professor, Bangkok University, Thailand. Her topic is Understanding Student Insights for Instructional Design. Patama is currently an Assistant Professor and Director, Master of Communication, Arts in Digital Marketing Communications, Schools of Communication Arts, Bangkok University, and Bangkok, Thailand. She received her doctoral and master degree in media and communication from the University of Leicester, United Kingdom. Likewise, she obtained her bachelor's degree in public relations from the Faculty of Communication Arts, Chulalongkorn University, Bangkok, Thailand. She has teaching experiences for over 10 years. Her research interests are health literacy, health communication, crisis communication and crisis management, marketing, public relation, and communication study. Now, let's just see her video presentation.
Okay, good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me always as the keynote speakers for the 14 ICTEL 2022 International Conference on Teaching, Education, and Learning. My name is Assistant Professor Dr. I'm currently the director of the Master of Communication Arts in Digital Marketing Communications program, Bangkok University. I'm actually from Bangkok, Thailand. And what I would like to share with you today, the topic is entitled Understanding Student Insight for Instructional Design, which is lead to like the student experience. What I'm gonna cover for my talk today, as you can see on the screen, my agenda is gonna be, first of all, what are student insight, and the importance of the student insight for the instructional design, and what is like the student insight to be considered. I would propose some kinds of the ideas and also the experiences from the Thai university students, and by applying the ideas of the social UX needs or the social UX hierarchy model. And also we'll end up with the reference that I have used for my talk. Okay, so what are the student insights? First of all, I would regard the students as the customers. The students as like the customers, they have needs. They have got like the psychological conditions or psychological needs to some extent in order to receive the benefits or the feedback from, from the instructors, from the coach, but in a sense of the marketing perspective as like the customers. For sure, the customer needs something from the brands, from the senders. So I would regard students as like customers that we have to understand their insight. We have to understand their behaviors. We have to understand their psychological conditions behind such actions or behavior. And the main purpose or like the ultimate goals of understanding like the student insight is that experience. For sure, the university, the higher education institute would like to provide the student with a very good experience and a favorable experience to the students. And then they can give like, a positive feedback. They can invite or encourage the other people who they are familiar with in order to continue their studies at the university and so forth. So once again, I would say that the students are like the customers. In order to make the customers, in order to make the students in place with our university brands. So we have to understand their insight. I got like the quote from Lebov in 2022. This person has written so-called like the why student insight is essential in the virtual classroom. What this person's quote is: insight and the feedback it generates is essential in virtual classrooms in order for professors to tailor the learning experience, whether to address performance issues or make learning more relevant and engaging. I personally don't think that the insights or even like the feedback is essentials, is important, not just only in virtual classroom, but even like the on-site classrooms as well, or the online classroom as well. That the instructors, the teachers have to consider about these. And one more thing from this quote, I think that the insight is not just only like the feedback, but I think the insight is something that behind the actions of the students. So I personally think that the insight could be regarded as understood as the needs of the students. So when we understand the insight, the things that the teachers can generate or the insight can help the teachers in order to build up or create like the good learning experience among the teachers, among the students, and also can tell how to improve like the effectiveness or the performance of the teachers or the instructors, and also helps the instructors and the teachers in order to create like the environment that can create or make the students more engaged and make their teaching design more effective. One more thing that found from like the findings of Martin in 2019, which is express or share the importance and necessities of understanding the student insights. Martin's has addressed in the papers in the finding of student insight, the added values of work integrated learning. And he said that it's found that the student needs something that makes them entertain and achieve and help decision making for their future works. So that's why we have to understand insight. So let's have a look what is like, the student insights to be considered. I apply my personal experience from my teaching experience. I also found out that by applying of the social UX needs or the UX hierarchy model could fit well with and could understand well about the student insight. So on the left hand side, you can see in the yellow color, for UX hierarchy model, there will be like 6 stages altogether. From the bottom is the functionals are useful, reliable, usable, and then convenient, pleasurable, and then meaningful. But however, for these UX hierarchy models, the UX mean like the user experience, the ways for the user, the designers in order to design like applications or things like that in order to attract and to create like the good experience among the users or among the customers. So do the students. But for like the UX hierarchy model, in this model, it can be split or separated into like 2 main dimensions. At the bottom, from functional useful up to the usable, is called like the task. The tasks include like, in a sense, the UX sense, this include like the products, features, and target to like the objective. And it must be able to count in numbers. But in contrast, from the convenient up to the meaningful is something relating to quality, subjective. Is of course involved like the experience of the users, the students, people's activities, and also the context. I would like to give you the reasons why I apply, the social UX hierarchies, models, hierarchy needs, because I think that it could fit well with, at a certain level, to the Broom's taxonomy, which I believe that all of you may familiar with this Broom's taxonomy, because it's very, very well known, well accepted, it's very popular. And I can see like some kinds of the ideas of the task and also the experience, Broom's taxonomies has been designed for the students. So for Broom's taxonomy, there will be like 6 stages altogether, like the UX hierarchy model. As you can see in the green model, so for the Broom's taxonomy, it consists of remembers, understands, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. For sure, as like the instructors and the teachers, we try to make the students understand, apart from like just remembering something, but the students have to be able to explain, to clarify something about the ideas or the models they have learned so far. And they are able to apply in a sense, in the different contexts. Okay, so it means that the student have got like the knowledge and also some kinds of the understandings of something, and they are able to describe it, they are able to understand it up until they can be able to apply such kinds of the notions, such kinds of the ideas into the practice. But after that, at the stage of analyze, evaluate, and create. It means that the students are given a chance in order to, not just only to remember or understand something, but turn some kinds of the such knowledge and understandings into practice. So they got like the chance in order to analyze something, evaluate, to analyze in order to see like the linkage or relationship between one thing and another, and evaluate whether it's good or bad, or satisfied or unsatisfied, and so forth, up until they are able to create something maybe new or from the existing things or innovations in order to create something. So in this case, by applying the Broom's taxonomy, and that is said that okay, the UX hierarchy models can fit well with and can related to like the Broom's taxonomy. At the from the bottom, remember up to apply, it's something about the knowledge thing, and analyze up to the create is something about like the experience. So let's have a look in the details of like the students' insight relating to the UX hierarchy model. So from the functional, useful, reliable, and usable is something about like, the informations about the tasks, about like the products, the informations about the products, and also the features. So in a sense, what they need, what the students need is the needs of knowledge and understanding, for sure. But the instructors have to bear in mind that such knowledge and understanding must be easy to digest. So it's simple, straightforward, and avoid jargons and technical terms. But sometimes from my experience in the real world, in a professional's world, these kinds of the jargons and technical terms is really important for the students to know. But the instructors and also the teachers have to find out the ways in order to teach them, in order to coach them, to be able to remember, to be able to understand it. And also it must be presented in the virtual age, in the virtual start. So basically about the task is about something about the knowledge and also the understandings that the students needs as like the basic ideas of studying. But in order to provide or build up like the experiences among the students, which is about like the people's activity context and more about subjective and the qualities. What they need is about like the needs of the business and people's connections for the future collaborations, for their future works. This is according to, my experience that I'm teach, students for over 10 years. The needs of career opportunities, the needs of the professional experience. There are also needs like the hands-on experience. They would like to do something practically apart from just sitting, in the classroom. Needs of tailor-made and a personalized experience. So, the different students have got like, the different needs or requirements. If the teachers are, if the teachers and also the instructors can be able to respond to such tailor-made or to such personalized needs and requirements, it would be great. And also the students need something that make them entertained and excited. Is about like the emotional attachment and also emotional involvement, because sometimes I think in the classroom, like listening to the lecture is a bit boring. So they would like to get something that make them entertained and excited. So from these, that I've shared, and also through the applying of the social UX, hierarchies, models. So it can help that and make us consider as, as the teachers, as the instructors for instructional design, for the experience design among the students. So once again, for the task of about, providing like the knowledge, building up like the knowledge and also understandings among the students. What we should focus at the bottom is about like the lectures. Okay, sometimes it's like assign the students to do some tasks, to do some duties, tutorials, infographic, which is becomes more and more popular because turns like a lot of information into some kinds of the pictures and some kinds of the discussions could build up like understandings, the case studies as well that the students have to apply from the knowledge that have learned into something that practiced. Gamifications and competitions. I personally, I have put like case studies and gamifications and competitions at the tops of the knowledge. The tasks, the products or features, because I personally think that the gamifications and competitions or even like the case studies are in the line between the task and also the experience that the students would like to get. And it could help provide some kinds of the kind of the ideas of the hands-on experience or the kinds of the tailor-made and personalized experience or the professional experience. And for the experiences, about the peoples, about the activities, about the context, about to create the good experiences, the teachers or instructor may have to use like the seminar or like the simulations, to create like an environment, kind of the virtual environment that the students can play something like in the real world, and then they can imagine of what's gonna happen and how they are going to do if that kinds of the situations happened. They can do some kinds of the role play, and then to field trip, okay, to meet with the people from the business, from the industry, so they can explore the world, internship, or even like the experiential learning through like the projects, which provide the opportunity for the students to learn out of the class, to learn by doing something which is they might not face it like in the classroom, but in this case they may face something which is really important for their life, but also important for their studies and also important for their working experience as well. So I think that is all for my talk today about understanding student insight for instructional design and also for the good experience among the students. These are all like the references that I have used for my talk today. I'm welcome for like the Q&A, and thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patama, for your wonderful presentation. Would you like to add something here, Dr. Patama?
Well, thank you very much. I'm very sorry for coming late and joining the conference late because I got late the class to teach for the whole days, to be honest. And why the conference going on and why I delivering my lectures and having like interactions with my students. I always observing how they feel, what they want, and what is like the needs behind such actions that I provide and I talk with you in my presentations, because it's really important. I understand that sometimes the classroom is a bit boring. I understand that sometimes it's a bit tough for students. So I have to kind of observe and give like the priority to the students, what they need and what they want, in order to try to adapt my teaching method and my instructional design in order to fit well with them, and trying to encourage them into like the activities that I try to provide to them. So I personally that I think that is very important for understanding the student insight. Thank you very much for the Eurasia Research once again for inviting me for the keynote speakers. Thank you very much, Kat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patama. Also, if anybody has any questions, they can write it in the chat box. The speaker will try to answer them. Moving ahead with the conference. Next up, we have our next keynote speaker, Dr. Hilda Abaccon, Lazarsa Saint Junction, Mayadan, Los Banos, Laguna, Philippines. Her topic is Educational Leaders of Tomorrow. Giving up is never an option for me. This is how I want people to remember me and want they hear my name. I am Hilda, all the way from the special science city, nature of Philippines, Los Banos, Laguna. I have been an educator by profession for 13 years and currently I am affiliated as a public school teacher at Los Banos Integrated School and a proud single mother of three adorable kids. Apart from that, I also work as an online ESL teacher at 51 Talk and a volunteer co-facilitator of massive open online course. Camp Laguna 2, Philippines, partnered with the Regional English Language Office and US Embassy. I gained my doctorate degree at Laguna State Polytechnic University last August 2020 and was able to publish and present my paper internationally entitled Life Experience of MOO Source and Phenomenological Study and Development and Validation of Supplementary Grammar Modules in English for Grade 8 pupils at Los Banos Integrated School. I also volunteered as a teacher in American language and culture classes for 3 months last 2020. I've become the demonstration teacher for 2 consecutive years and was recognized as a best writer in test construction. My recent speakership was held at last Gen 2002 with the title Enhancing Learner Experience by Bringing Out the Best in Them in partnership with ICTEL 2022, International Conference on Teaching, Education and Learning. Paris held at former Square Docs de Paris, Paris, France, organized by Teaching and Education Association, and the later was held last September 2020 with the title Teaching English to Young Learners. An international webinar is partnership with the MOOC Laguna Camp 2 and private and public American language culture class. Finally, I'm an environmental advocate who supports our community environmental sustainability, a clean up drive project. My job as a teacher is to transform and make a difference to the lives of my former, current, and future students. I can say that I am a teacher that teaches from the heart. I believe that teaching is more than just imparting knowledge. It is also about growing students to become self-sufficient and lifelong learners. Now, let's just see a video presentation.
Hi. Before I start to talk about educational leaders, allow me to share a story that happened some 8 years ago. There is this happy couple who complement each other very well. They are a picture of a happy and perfect relationship, full of hopes and dreams together. They are trying to build their family with love and trust. They see each other as a friend, lover, enemy, critic, and all, but allow each other to have space for mistakes and time to correct them. Until one day, on the day of the man's 26th birthday, they were happy and looking forward to celebrating the husband's birthday after the wife off from work. He escorted his pregnant wife, and then he told her he would just refuel his motorcycle. After a few minutes, the wife received a call informing her that her dear husband met an accident and he is in the hospital. That day was the longest day of her life. She watches him while he struggles in the hospital. He can't talk, but his eyes are saying, "Sorry for what happened." The sadness in his eyes were like daggers that struck her straight into her heart. At that time, they said, he has blood clot in his head and his liver is severely damaged. Watching all his sufferings that causes his life is the worst experience in the couple's life. The wife was devastated. She felt lost and alone because for the first time in her life, she doesn't know what to do or how to survive. The man is her only comfort, the only man she trusted other than her own father. Raising her 7-year-old boy, 5-year-old baby girl, and the one inside her belly is the biggest problem for her at that time. Every night she's crying, tormented by the pain and loneliness for her husband. But during the day, she is transformed into a lively and energetic mother to help her children overcome the pain, while inside she is hurting, seeing the kids every day longing for the love of their father, while her eldest son refuses to perform in school because his father, who promised to bring him to school every day, is gone forever. She chose to show them that life is still beautiful, to protect them by waking up every day and showing them tons of reasons to go on and pursue the dreams she and her husband dreamed together. She did everything in her power to endure all the pains and still smile, even if it hurts her more inside, as if she's hugging them and smiling, while there are millions of gathers and stop wounds on her back just to give them more hopes and forget the pain of losing their father. As years passed by, the children witnessed how people judged, mocked, and ridiculed their mother. She managed to encourage her children to become the better version of themselves by trusting and empowering them, allowing them to see how she managed to live and still achieve things despite their situation. She never hides secrets from them, whether it be financial or anything about their family and situation. She even asked for their opinion and allowed them to help her solve problems. The eldest son now realized that he must concentrate on growing and learning, because his mother showed him how she used all her pains as an inspiration to climb the ladder of success. Despite the hardship of raising the three of them, Mom managed to finish her master's and doctorate degree. For example, leads her children to strive even on their own little ways, and it helps them see another side of life in a lighter note. Many people admired her children for many things, because at their young age, they can run the house without their mother's supervision. They can even transact in the bank and more. They truly become independent in many ways, but always have ears for their mother. They all turn to be a support system of one another, although there are conflicts sometimes. You may say this is not a good example of leadership, but as for me, I believe leadership starts at home. Many people nowadays sought for power, but be a leader, which makes life very challenging. In an environment full of people aspiring to be a leader, life becomes a competition, and everything that lies in it are just mini courses. Course they must triumphantly finish. At some point, I think it's good, for it brings out the best in an individual. But somehow, there are consequences. because instead of people working together, they tend to showcase they are better than the others. I think allowing this in an institution or group will later result to failure or, if not, low performance. That is why I am not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. I'm more afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion, just like Alexander the Great. Honestly thinking, I believe that we are all leaders. We just don't see how, because we are always looking for something something more extravagant and prestigious. We don't realize that in life we are a leader, and that every day we should lead ourselves towards betterment. We also lead our families and everything we have. Every day we are dealing with all our problems, our what ifs, our insecurities, doubts, fears, and all. That sometimes stops us from doing and achieving success. But at the end of the day, we should all be like a lion, strong, protective, brave, and willing to fight, like hunters. Hunters who is willing to hunt for whatever things his family, group, or organizations need. We also we are also group members, a part of a pride, someone who, no matter how tough the situation, always finds a way to be cheerful, someone who is mindful of the fact that he must safeguard his own and his group's pride. He knows how to put together a cohesive group, no matter how big or small it is. We should also be loners in big scheme of things. Just like us lions are not hanging out with all the other animals. We rather hang out sometimes completely alone, or mostly with just a few other lions. We sometimes need to separate ourselves. We need time to think and evaluate our actions, analyze things and people around us. A leader must be vigilant in guarding his path. He should learn to separate those who are just selfish or those who might be a threat to his people or group in general. Those that might cause trouble or pain to his people. Now, if you will ask me why I'm afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion, well, the reason is simple. Because for me, even if your people are those that others think are the weakest, you can still succeed. Because a great leader can turn them into their best version, of course, with proper supervision and guidance. Besides, it's better to have someone who is weak or a beginner with a good heart than to have someone with an excellent skill but a rotten heart. Because, like the follower, just like the leader, the followers are as important as the leader. The two should complement each other, but more importantly, the leader should know how to empower his people and help them to grow and become the person they are dreaming to be. If you will ask, the wife in the story is the younger version of me, and the children are my kids, the souls entrusted to me by God. And these kids represent the students and fellows in our lives as a leader. We are not supposed to choose them because they are the best, the strongest, or they can help lift us up. but instead we must be strong to protect them and wise to mold them. Our honest feedback and sincere intentions will be felt and truly shine. This will serve as their lights at times they are having troubles and difficulty doing their task. So when people ask me how I manage to survive despite all the waves of life that comes my way, I always say, I don't know. Because I actually don't know. I never thought about it. I'm always busy improving myself. That I don't have time criticizing others and how I manage to survive while they don't. But now while writing this, I realize that it's the light in my heart. The light coming from God and the hopes and trust of people who believes in me. Those that were entrusted in me. Those people who relies on me. I always listen with curiosity. I try to speak with honesty and act with integrity at all times. Just like Roy T. Bennett says, we should not listen to reply. When we listen with curiosity, we don't listen with the intent to reply. We listen for what's behind the words. As a leader is a giver, a source of light, a protector, and an inspiration. He is the one who sets goals and helps his people believe they can reach that goal. He is the anchor that keeps them still despite the challenges thrown at their feet. They are working not to impress, but to guide those who are weak, providing his people the right compliment and criticisms at the right time with the purest intention to squeeze out the best in them. They are happy when his people achieve something and encourage them to dream even more. Leaders are the first one to give their people the right amount of trust and support. He is the one who spends time to know his people, not just to know their strengths, but also to discover their shortcomings and weaknesses, because the leader and his people are one. Therefore, if he can get his people to do the greatest things, he is a great leader. And that should be the educational leader of tomorrow. Just like what Ronald Reagan once said, the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. Good day, everyone, and let us all bring out the leaders of tomorrow in us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hilda, for your wonderful presentation. Also, if anybody has any question, they can put it in the chat box. The speaker will try to answer you. Moving ahead with the conference, I welcome all the listeners of the day. Salient Abaccon, Faculty of Management and Business Administration, West University of Timisoara, Romania. Lesson Liu, student of School of English and International Studies, Beijing Foreign Studies University, Beijing, China. Let's move ahead with the first presenter of the day, Rajkumar Maestri Sir, Faculty of Education, University of Johannesburg, South Africa. His topic is the perception and experiences of school management teams regarding continuing professional development of teacher in digital literacy. Rajkumar sir, now you can start the screen share and you can just present your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, I just want to see if I can share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes,
All
yes.
right. I've changed my topic slightly because I also looked at the issue around principles. So I'm going to come back to that. But I think I need to just firstly say good morning to all of you. And thank you for this opportunity, Ritika. I am a little bit under pressure in terms of time, but I want to say a few things that I'm from South Africa, but I'm also an emeritus professor at the University of Johannesburg. And I've traveled all the way to London to attend the conference, which has now changed to virtual. So I must come in with the issue around the COVID-19 pandemic, that principals of schools have been left totally in the dark. They were unprepared. They were totally unprepared for the COVID-19 appearing in a situation. And they had to then lead and manage their schools effectively under these critical conditions. Now, you would know that in many of the countries globally, that schools had to close. And principals, and together with school governing body members and together with school management team members, had to make a decision on how they would continue with schooling. Now, you know that when schools come to an abrupt end, it has a serious impact on children so that they would not be able to learn, and there's no way of recovering that time. You can't recover the time, it's lost time. Now, in a South African perspective, many of the people there are poor. In fact, I would say 80% of the population is poor, and are mostly Black African people that are in this position. Now, even though the principal and the school had decided to go online teaching, there was then a problem with online teaching because the poor people cannot afford smartphones, they cannot afford to buy data, and they don't have connectivity in those areas where they live, because many of them live in townships, many live in rural areas. And so this whole idea of bringing online teaching to the schools was not going to work at all. And so they became a problem. I'm talking of 80% of the population having to be without education. Whereas we have a situation in our country where the affluent always benefit. So the rich people, they continued with their teaching, their private schools and schools that were heavily subsidized by the government in our apartheid regime. They had the resources in which to continue online teaching and learning. Whereas with the poor students, our poor learners, they were without schooling. And we then argue the point in this presentation is that principals must be empowered to be able to teach or to be able to lead and manage their schools effectively, especially in the 21st century. And that is why I changed my topic slightly. I know that digital literacy is so important, and my students have done a lot of research on digital literacy, but I wanted to take the focus now on how do we then begin to empower principals, because this is a critical issue globally, not necessarily in South Africa, but globally. So in the first instance here, if I look at the research that I've undertaken, I would say that that it is important for globally for wide-ranging reforms of curriculum, instruction, and assessment has to be undertaken. In other words, they have to become instructional leaders. They have to be good instructional leaders. And so therefore, this is the critical issue around this research. So that by doing this, they will then be able to, they will be prepared for the education demands that is required in the 21st century. And what is more important is that no longer do we want principals just to be managers, we want them to be leaders. And you know, there would be a big difference between leaders and managers. The concept is not the same, it cannot be used interchangeably, but because the fact is that a leader is able to lead people, is visionary, whereas a manager sees to the rules and regulations and policies of education systems as such. So the question we ask ourselves, are principals really prepared to lead schools? And we know that in many countries, there are no formal qualifications to become an effective leader. There are no qualifications. And if you're taking a South African case, an ordinary teacher can become a principal after teaching for 7 years. Now we know that in the US, that anyone who wants to become a principal will needs a Master of Educational Administration. And there are many other human countries that ensure that teachers or deputy principals or vice principals or heads of departments are given training to become principals. And so I'm not going to be reading this here, but if I'm looking at the issue of the United States of America, that to become a principal, one needs a bachelor's degree and also a master's in educational administration, and that they must have a certificate to become a principal. There is a certification in terms of having that qualification in the master's. They must have experience and have key skills, especially in decision making. They have to have critical communication skills, computer skills. And these are all important things. Whereas if you're looking at a South African context, many of the principals haven't got a master's qualification. They merely have a teacher's diploma, they teach for 7 years, and they are able to apply then for a principal's post. Now, these people don't have the necessary skills to lead schools. So, as I mentioned now, in developing countries, and South Africa being a developing countries, there are no overarching principal preparation. There are no certification programs. In other words, all you needed is just a simple teacher's diploma. And then it is therefore important for the education system to provide principals with the necessary knowledge and skills to become effective leaders. And this is what we argue here as well. So how do we then empower principals through a continuing professional development? It is ensuring that they have a good technological shift or a demographical shift in terms of where we used to be using the teaching of talk and chalk, we now become more technologically specialized. And we need to be accountable for all the work. The principals need to be accountable in terms of taking responsibility for the schools. And therefore we say that these changes have resulted in a turning of the role of principals globally, that they no longer can be just managers coming to the school and ensuring that children are disciplined or ensuring that teachers come on time to school. No, they have to take on a leadership role, and more importantly, an instructional leadership role. So this is what we are arguing here in this paper. I'm not going to discuss too much of the research methodology, but in this case here, we did a qualitative research method. It was an open-ended qualitative questionnaires that were asked, and we also then followed up with interviews. We sampled 15 principals, and these principals were all situated in inner cities, township schools, and affluent suburbs. So we didn't only look at poor schools, we looked at affluent schools as well. So the data was analyzed. We used this TESH method of open coding, and we used strict ethical requirements in order to undertake this research. We got permission from the Department of Education, and we got permission from the principals. We used Lincoln and Gruber's norm of trustworthiness. Here we talk about credibility, transferability, dependability, and confirmability. And it's so important that our research have to take on a trustworthiness as well. And also in terms of ensuring that it's fair and it's consistent in the way we ask those questions as well. So what are some of the findings? We believe that principles, from the findings of the 15 principles as well, that they need to study further. And the Department of Education brought in a new qualification called the Advanced Certificate in Education. It's or they could even do a postgraduate study such as the Masters in Education. Now, these qualifications, the way it is presented, it is over 2 years, and it is a part-time qualification. And what happens here is I am one of the lecturers who lecture in this qualification. And what we do is we allow teachers and school managers to enroll for the course, and we give them a training, face-to-face training, and we allow them to, in terms of case studies and in terms of role playing, we allow them to take on the role of a leader. So the participants felt it's so important for them to study further, that the teacher's diploma is not sufficient to become an effective principal. This formal qualification, as I mentioned, was Advanced Certificate in Education. It's now also changed. In fact, now recently we've moved on. The Department of Education has introduced the Advanced Diploma in Education. And this has become so important so that we have at the moment in our university, we are training over 400 principals to become effective. We do have union interference here, but now the principals have indicated that they're no longer going to listen to the unions, and they want to take this, they want to do this course. So by enrolling for this course, they would learn to do something very important called the Integrated Quality Management System. And so in terms of the Integrated Quality Management System, which is now changed now to Quality Management System, there we help them with development appraisal, with whole school evaluation, and performance management as well. So we have the education districts. They are there to help. They help in firstly, some of them take on the same course as well, the Advanced Diploma in Education, and also they help with all the students who enroll for the course. One, the students get a bursary. Two, they also begin to develop professional development programs, and they make sure that it is custom fit rather than a one-size-fits-all program. More importantly, we believe that it is for principals or even school managers to always self-evaluate their own personal professional development. They must know what are some of their weaknesses, some of their problems, so that we could then develop professional development programs for them. So what is important in this slide here is that they need to do a self-evaluation, that it becomes so important for them to understand their own self and how they are managing. All right, and then I'm going to come to some of the recommendations. We believe that it's important for principals to take on the course and we want the government to make this a prerequisite. If anyone wants to become a principal, they must have an advanced diploma in education. We believe that is very, very important. And we believe that principals must have sound knowledge of digital literacy, of also technology as well. And finally, that the study reveals that principals are appointed based on their excellent teaching rather than their performance as leaders. We are now advancing on the advanced diploma in education. We are recommending that as a prerequisite, and that many principals find difficulty in leading and managing schools successfully, and because they lack the necessary formal qualifications. So to lead and manage schools effectively in the 21st century, principals should be provided with structured or formal professional development programs. This will undoubtedly empower them. Thank you. If there are any questions before I leave, I need to leave, I can take any question.
Thank you so much, Rajkumar sir, for your wonderful presentation. Also, if anybody has any question, they can ask. And also you can put the question in the chat box. The speaker will try to answer you there.
Okay, I don't think there's questions, and thank you very much. You could then direct me any other question, I could then answer it then. All right. Ritika, thank you very much.
Next up, we have our next presenter, Oskan Gulasar, Chemistry, University of California, Davis, USA. His topic is using Bloom Taxonomy for an in-depth comparison of an online and F2F chemistry course. You may also read the abstract. And now we'll see the video presentation.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. I know the participants of this conference are from all over the world. It is unfortunate that I cannot present my talk in the live session and have a chance to interact with the participants, but I shall let you know that as you are having this meeting, I will be in the air flying to London, and that is the reason I couldn't be with you. In this talk, I'm going to share our findings and analysis comparing two chemistry courses, one taught online and the other one in person, which will be referred to as face-to-face in this presentation. Okay, let's move to background. Recent studies, especially after the COVID, show that there is an increasing interest in online courses. Most universities have increased their online offerings. Despite this trend, many professors still believe that face-to-face education is superior to online education in providing students quality instruction. Strictly speaking, face-to-face education is considered traditional, for which no portion of the course is available online, and only a classroom management system is used to provide extra resources such as posting lecture notes or syllabi. On the other hand, in online courses, more than 80% instruction is provided online, and that's how we are going to differentiate our courses in this study. In an early study on the effectiveness of online education, Piccoli et al. Found no significant differences in students' performance between face-to-face and online instruction. The study took place in a computer science course for business majors, which used a virtual learning environment for daily instruction, but held all course exams in person. While no differences between students' performances were detected, students in the online sections of the course evaluated themselves as more able to use computers than did their face-to-face peers. This, however, came at the expense of satisfaction, as online students reported lower satisfaction in the course. In a teacher education course, traditional and online sections were compared and no significant difference in student performance was found between them. And the study was completed by Schuyler et al. And student satisfaction was likewise shown to be roughly equal. And this was a little different from the Piccoli studies. However, in a Thai business statistics course, students in the online course were observed to perform significantly better than students in an equivalent face-to-face course. the authors concede that there may have been significant contribution from teaching style difference between the traditional and online courses that accounted for the observed difference. It was determined that online learning environment was less instructor-centered in nature than face-to-face courses, which allows students to pursue a more independent level of learning. Furthermore, online systems foster a constructivist approach by allowing students to move at their own pace and develop their own ideas. Another study was conducted in a master's level teacher education course. West et al. Found that students in this course were more successful since they focused on the process of learning rather than the content. In addition, a large review of online course effectiveness studies found no significant differences in most comparisons of online and face-to-face instruction. Overall, this suggested that neither method of instruction offers a clear advantage in learning. Despite the available literature on the effectiveness of online education, studies of physical science courses are very few and far between. The case actually is even worse in chemistry. One large reason for the lack of online chemistry courses is a lack of desire to eschew the in-person laboratory experiment. Although very few online chemistry courses are offered, there is no literature measuring their efficacy. So this makes the study extra important. In order to classify how students are learning, a coherent system must be used. Amongst the most popular methods of classifying learning, we have multiple intelligences and Bloom's taxonomy. In this study, we chose to use Bloom's taxonomy, which is used to classify the level of thought processing involved with learning activities and test questions in 6 levels. Higher level questions are generally considered to be better indicators of how well students have learned the course material. Now let's look at these 6 levels. Bloom et al. Defined taxonomy in 1956. There are 6 levels again. At the very lowest level, we have acquisition of knowledge. At the highest level, they put evaluation. On the other hand, Anderson revised this taxonomy in 1999, and they put the creation at the top. So creating knowledge, creating projects, creating a thesis maybe, consider highest level of thinking. And we are going to look at, in this study, first 3 levels due to some limitations with the questions. We will examine remembering, understanding, applying. We'll see how students are functioning, performing differently in these areas. Now we're going to learn about the details of the participant and the study design. This study was performed in an introductory chemistry course for non-science majors in a medium-sized public university in northern New York State. No laboratory instruction was included in our comparison in our analysis. The study consisted of 1 face-to-face class and 2 smaller online classes. The face-to-face section of the study was a single class offered in a fall semester that contained 148 students. The online sections contained 157 students. Of those students, 78 took the class during a fall semester and 79 took the class during a summer session. Both the online and face-to-face courses had 3 midterm exams and a final exam to assess student learning. In total, the 3 midterm exams from each course were used for the analysis for this study. All of the exams were multiple choice. Each was 80 minutes long. In face-to-face instruction, a traditional teaching method, lecturing was mainly used. On the other hand, in online instruction, students were provided the same videos asynchronously, so they watched the lecture videos on their own time. There was no meetings at all. All 3 researchers coded the exams using Bloom's taxonomy to analyze the differences between the students' performances in each class. The two sets of coding with the highest inter-rater agreement, according to Cohen's couple, were adopted. And so we were very pleased with the results. In the final analysis, no Bloom classification was chosen to be higher than apply, as I mentioned earlier. So that's the third of 6 levels, as multiple choice problems we think were not sufficient to be able to assess students' abilities beyond this level of thinking. To analyze student success on individual problems, the number of students from a particular class who answer a given exam question correct was expressed as a fraction between 0 and 1. This resulted in an essentially continuous variable for each of the exam problems, which allowed the use of most common statistical tests. For example, the mean success of the face-to-face students on all exam problems was calculated and compared with the mean success of the online students in the fall and the summer in ANOVA to determine if there was any significant difference in performance. SPSS was used to run the statistical test, and the tests that we run for analyzing correlation are Pearson correlation coefficient, students t-test, and analysis of variance, ANOVA. Okay, let's talk about our findings. First, we wanted to find out if there were differences in our 3 courses: fall face-to-face, fall online, and summer online courses. A series of analysis of variance tests were run to determine if there were any significant differences in student performance between the face-to-face class and the online classes. There was a difference significant at the 99.9% confidence level between the 3 courses. Then we did some post hoc analysis, and they showed us that students in the online summer course were significantly more successful than either the face-to-face students or the fall online students. And this suggests that there may be some advantage to the shorter course, also suggests that there's no disadvantage to online courses over face-to-face. Okay, then we wanted to determine if course offerings in summer and fall make any difference on students' performance. A t-test was run to determine if there was any significant difference between student performance in fall and summer online courses. Results of the test show a significant difference between the 2 courses. And on average, that's what we found, students in the summer online course answered questions correctly on 73% of the questions, 68% for the fall online students. And this actually was an interesting finding because people think that if something is online, that should be resulting the same results, but we found otherwise. To better understand the differences between the courses, they were compared by grouping the questions by Bloom's taxonomy categories. 3 ANOVAs were run, 1 for each level. Remember, understand, apply. Let's look at them now. Here, the first level. It appeared that differences at the remembering level was significant among the courses. The post hoc analysis provided very interesting results. The online students answered these low-level questions better than the face-to-face students. This may be because the method of instruction for online courses, which was primarily student-driven, which helped students memorize more facts. It could also be that the type of students more likely to enroll in an online course is a type better at memorization. And we also think that recalling the advantage seen for the summer online courses, it is suspected that shorter time needed to remember facts in a 6-week course may have given those students an apparent advantage over students, either online or face-to-face, who had to remember the same facts for a longer period of time. All right, then we analyze the differences at the understanding level. This is the second level in Bloom's taxonomy. A comparison of the means for the question at the second level of Bloom taxonomy, we determined that the F value and significant was weaker than that of remember, the first level of Bloom's taxonomy. Post hoc tests found that face-to-face students and online summer students were significantly different from each other, with online summer students performing better than the face-to-face students. However, the online fall students were not significantly different from either the face-to-face students or the online summer students. The comparison, as you see on the figure 3. All right, now we are looking at the third level of Bloom's taxonomy. It was determined that once students move beyond memorization and interpreting knowledge into application of that knowledge, the difference between the three classes disappear. The memorization effect that may have assisted in the first and second levels of Bloom's taxonomy appears to have faded as students had to apply their knowledge to new problems. And this is usually done in the form of calculations in a chemistry course. And a significant difference favoring the face-to-face class is not, however, observed in our study. We do not have any evidence to claim that face-to-face instruction is superior as believed by many professors. All right, let's wrap up the presentation with our conclusions. Overall, there were very few significant differences between online courses and face-to-face courses. Face-to-face students answer fewer of the memorization and remembering first level of Bloom's taxonomy questions correctly than did online students. Again, most likely this is either because online instruction promotes better memorization or because students good at memorization and this is gravitated towards online courses. As understanding is generally being able to recognize the knowledge you have learned in a new context or larger frameworks, memorization still plays a role in differentiating students, though not as large as it's not playing a large role in this equation. However, once again, as we mentioned earlier, these differences disappear as they move to the questions requiring a higher level of cognitive activities. And so we can easily argue that at the introductory level, online courses can be utilized without hesitation when needed, like at pandemic times. Even we do not want to experience that again, it is an option universities can consider at this level. Before I finalize this presentation, I will also like to inform participants about a special issue I and my colleagues, Charlie Cox from Duke University, Ingo Elks from University of Bremen, editing. And this is going to be published at Education Sciences Journal, and we are going to focus on importance of making chemistry relevant and meaningful. Chemistry has been seen as an abstract, isolated subject by many students, so it is important that we make it relevant to our students at different levels. By doing this, we are hoping to increase their motivation and interest in learning chemistry and seeking a degree in STEM fields. So please submit your papers by the deadline. We will be happy to assist you with your manuscripts, and the journal agreed to waive the publication fee for this time. So this is a great opportunity. I hope to get many papers from the audience. And finally, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and please feel free to contact me with your questions regarding this study or regarding the special issue. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you will have a great conference and experience. Bye.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oskan, for your wonderful presentation. And if anybody has any question, they can write it in the chat box. The speaker will try to answer you there. Moving ahead with the conference. Next up, we have our next presenter, Korkana Apaji, sir, Department of Education and Education Technology, University of Hyderabad, Hyderabad, India. His topic is counseling, an effective method to make successful learner who influenced by various factors. You may also read the abstract. Korikana sir, now you can
Yes.
present.
Yes,
Yeah,
madam. Thank you.
you're most welcome.
I'm sharing my screen. Yes. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yes. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Good morning, all of you. Good afternoon and good evening, wherever. So, myself, Apazi, from Department of Education and Education Technology, University of Hyderabad, India. So, my presentation title is Counseling, an effective method to make successful learner who influenced by various factors. So let me start my presentation with an inspiring quote by Dr. Albert Einstein, a person who never made mistakes, never tried anything new. So the introduction to the presentation is, so nowadays education is a weapon to the everyone. So in the world, education plays an important role in developing skills of the students throughout the lifelong process, which can bring the concealed talents in the students, their teaching and learning process. So indicators of school success maybe depends on their different levels. Those are it may be high academic achievement, it may be low academic achievement, and specialized skills possessed by the students, and not at least which involves academic related issues. However, all the students may not continue their education because they have different abilities. Different students have different abilities. The variety of actions involved in their home and school also. When they face variable obstacles, so the continuing their education, they may feel irritated. They tense trying to continue their education. That inability was made as a low performers or low achievers. So in the contemporary world, so most of school children suffering from various problems. It may be school related, it may be home related, or it may be individually, personally problems. Some students are neglecting studies due to influenced such factors. So some of them cannot cope up with their studies, even though they are able to cope up with, even though they are unable to cope up with their regular classroom homeworks. It is a significant loss to the nation also, because many talented students are losing their resilience. The maladjustments makes the talented students as dropouts, underachievers, slow learners. In different ways, they are falling in there. Though both the child as well as the parent are struggling due to these obstacles and these problems, so they cannot overcome these issues. But the same children may be excel in other activities. It may be academic or non-academic related. So the children are not happy at their learning in two different reasons. In general, the classroom, they may not perform equally, but as they are individual difference among every child, those reasons may be influenced by various factors. It may be. At this instance, counseling definitely can help the struggling students resolve their difficulties in education. So what type of difficulties? What are the factors influencing whatever it may be? The counseling it will help to the children, such type of children, to improve their academic performance. When we see the difficulties in it, maybe so learning difficulties, we know the dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia, that may be different. But apart from this, some of the difficulties, it may be related to home, and it may be related to the individual, it may be related to school factors also influencing their academic performance. Here, the students can experience different various learning difficulties. So which may be physical, social, emotional, uh, behavioral, and they may have attention problems, concentration issues. The difficulties may also, it may be short term or long term, and the struggles in the long ways barriers, because mainly the students, it may be long ways related or subject related in the sense social sciences and mathematics and general science, these issues. Though the students are struggling with their language barriers also. And when we coming to the mathematics subjects, they may be difficulty, they may feel difficulties in the basic mathematical operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But this is even though they are at higher secondary level, even though they are at secondary level, so they are unable to perform these operations in the. These are the mathematical problems. So difficulties here, the learning figure of these difficulties in learning, figure out the individual's need for alternating learning methods. The distance, this may be categorized school environment. The home environment also sometimes affect the students. Individual barriers also will affect it. These are these are the problems due to some inappropriate curriculum or teaching methods, maybe peer group influence. Whatever the sometimes parents, when we talk about the school home factors, illiterate parents, disturbed family functioning, overprotective parents are also maybe barriers. When we talk about the individual barriers, such as self-efficacy, low self-efficacy is one of the factors, and academic anxiety and fear of failure, negative attitude towards education. This is also maybe individual barriers. So here the counseling and the counselor education will help the children in what way? If you talk about some reviews, the previous studies talking about the counselor and counselor education. The counselor education always focuses on student-centered approach, and the components of counselor education are theory, practice, internship, and experiences under supervision by Komen in 2010. And according to the broad, the aim of counselor education can be grounded in training effective school counselors, can collaborate to imbue the courses with the values and tools for counseling effectiveness. And also it solves the academic issues. It gives early results, depends on the way of approaching or skills of the counselor. Counselor educators can apply different teaching strategies, depends on the students' experiences, students' home environment or school environment. It may be inspiring a successful person videos or role plays. These also will help to the counselor. And but depends on the nature of the case, the methods, the combination of methods can apply by Morris et Tippy in 2006 and Gadbois. So when according to the Thomas E. and D. M., counseling services in India was considered moderately more appropriate as the key of the key role of the counselor, followed by systematic development, preventive techniques, advocacy, and educational and career plan. So the purpose of counseling in students' life is not only problem solving, but also in relation to their career development, means to survive their life happily. This is given by Sharma G in 2021. Counselor should have certain qualities in handling severe cases. Though we can see the role of the counselor should carefully listen the problem of the counselee, build the rapport with the counselee to know their strengths and weaknesses of the counselee, and apply techniques to sit attentively in the counseling session. So without make attentive the counseling process may not be helpful to this present situation, and provide enough space to express their problems of the counselee. And the 4 points must be emphasized while these counseling process. So not every counselor education programs endorses or uses strategies. Clearly, specific strategies or preferences vary among programs. So we do not intimate that close-up scrutiny of teaching activities does not occur within counselor education programs. Teaching strategies are available to counselor educators or extensive and provide a review and contrast of each method. So, though the differentiation between teaching strategies and clinical supervisions, both are usually integrated in counselor education. It depends on the case we can apply. That's why methods of combination of methods we need to apply. A single method, a single strategy never can apply to the single student or a group of students. So in this present study, a single case study was the in-depth was studied by using case study. So case study method was used in the present study. That is based on this results discussion in the present study was the individual casework should be an integral and essential part of the work most applied psychologists and educational psychology. So there is a dire need for individual casework and education sphere, whether those within the educational psychology profession. According to Boyle, there are examples of various that can be helpful, successfully undertaken to improve the educational and psychological well-being of young young people in school. So let me see one of the case. The Sai Aditya is the 16 years boy is investigated for a period of a few months, and by taking 3 or 4 sessions to weekly in this is and found that in the counseling process rapport building was done, and found his weaknesses and strengths. The students and parents and teachers and family members were also involved in this counseling session. And the stage the present at present he was at say higher secondary stage, in the +2 stage, the counseling session. While interacting with the parents, they narrated about the students following manner in the different ways, such as the family environment. The family factors were narrated by the uh, family members, and the individual barriers was observed by the investigator. And these are the results were found. Home factors here, the even though he is at a secondary higher secondary stage, he was struggling a lot because the family problems were much influenced, and the individual factors, some of them are also influenced. Let us see that the students challenged many issues. The parents were unable to concentrate his studies because of the problem is family disturbances and disputes among their parents, and even they did not recognize his ability. He was good at uh, cricket. He was very interested, and he was also ability in cricket. Sometimes we have to appreciate the child abilities and capacities, whether it may be non-academic, that will boost up the child academic performance, that will boost boost to improve their, to motivate the students towards studies. Whenever here this is the, and the parents was also did not recognize his abilities. These disputes among the parents was also made him as underachiever, even though he has much ability. And due to this he was obtaining less scores in his academic examinations and some midterm exams, whatever. They were not in a position to identify his word situation, academic performance of declines. Day by day it is decreasing. Although the father was a graduate, he was unable to guide him, the child, due to continuous family litigations. So even though the parents are literates and some educated people, they were not in a position to help such type of children. When coming to the individual factors of the child, so the student, he was at the age of 15 years, he was out of control, the parents, due to lack of parental care, because their family disturbances were there. The student was habituated to mobile games, and he was negative. He was habituated that negative attitude and influenced by peer groups also, because there was no healthy relationship among the parents and the student. The parents were trying to change his attitude and behavior, but no use, though the problems were still unsolved. The child demanded his parent. The one incident will I can explain you. The child demanded his parents to buy a new mobile when he was in 10th standard. uh, when if he get good marks in 10th standard, he demanded his to buy a mobile phone, sorry. But the parents were agreed, and he passed with distinction in the 10th standard. But they were not given a mobile phone. They did not bought a mobile phone. Later on, he improved his negative attitude, and he made him, it was there was no healthy relationship, family relations, and it was impacted. The parents were denied. When the parents denied to buy this new mobile, and he also completely negative attitude towards education. Because of this situation, the students changed himself and rebel against their parents. So here, in this sense, the parents they were helpless. Here, the counseling, what was done in the present study, the process. First of all, after in-depth study of the case, it was found that family factors and major barriers of this age, major problems, major factors for this decline of his education. And when interacted with the family for 4 weeks, and it was observed that that is the problem from family members, and family members also described his disputes and conflicts, and the child negative relationship among the parents and child. They were also opined the students behaved himself as an independent. The researcher notified during his observation, and there was a multiple factors influencing the child. So in the next stage, the final stage, the role of the this is the role of this investigator is, it was identified his talent as a cricket game with his passion. The counselor admired his efficiency in the cricket game and spoke to the parents to arrange a cricket playing kit for the students. Then the student was happily some glow in his face, and when we appreciated, when we encouraged the child, his abilities, his talents, his interests, his experiences, that will help. So here the same thing did here. The student was greatly delighted, as it was the first time had succeeded in great ways needed. The student was also actively participated in the counseling session, and gradually some teaching techniques such as only which are academic related and depends on the abilities of the students, and some maybe some terms in cricket game or some situations, some historical or some cricket famous persons will, such type of incidents, all these were used in teaching the academic subjects. And later on, the counselor personally interacted to the students for a period of 2 months and changed his attitude towards education. And here, the counselor also showed the outstanding performance in the later on tests, and motivated, concentrated on studies, remaining and through his abilities. And later, the counselor slowly started, concentrated, and got a 80% marks in later secondary stage. The parents also felt happy because of this son's success. Now he was a successful learner through these various counseling sessions. And come to conclusion, education is essential to survive better life, and requirements should be met in regular life. Sometimes students' life may be full of hurdles, and which cannot be overcome a single day. At this instance, by building the rapport and by identifying his strengths and weakness, counselor education and counseling will help until providing a proper counseling session and proper sources to exhibit his abilities, though the problems still be unsolved. And by knowing their strengths and potentials, counseling will help to bring change in their knowledge, moreover, to become a great contribution to nation building by proving their genius personalities. And thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening all. Any questions, please?
Thank you so much, Korakana sir, for your wonderful presentation. And
Thank you.
also, yeah, you're most welcome. If anybody has any question, they can put it in the chat box. The speaker will try to answer you there.
Please.
You can just stop share your screen now. Thank you so much. We're moving ahead with the conference now. Next up, we have our next presenter, Aykut Pul, Faculty of Education, Gaziantep University, Gaziantep, Turkey. His topic is investigation of variables predicting forgiveness in a romantic relationship of university students. Let's just see the video presentation.
Hello everyone, I'm Aykut Kul. I'm working as a research assistant in Gaziantep University in Turkey. Today my topic is investigation of variables predicting forgiveness in romantic relationships of university students. I'm gonna start with introduction. As a result of conflicts in romantic relationships, the individual's behavior of forgiveness may be related to many variables. The individual can exhibit behavior of forgiveness by evaluating himself or herself, the person with whom he or she has a romantic relationship, and her relationship. It is also taught that the thoughts and relationship satisfaction of the individual are important in the process of forgiveness. It is expected to show less forgiveness when the individual's general irrational beliefs and irrational beliefs about the romantic relationship are high and relationship satisfaction is low. The aim of the study is to examine the relationship between general irrational beliefs about romantic relationships, relationship satisfaction, and forgiveness of university students who have romantic relationships. Method section. This study was a cross-sectional study. Participants of the research, it is total of 185 university students aged between 17 and 32. The mean age of participants is 21, and standard deviation of it 198, of which 155 are women and 30 are men. We had a hard time to get men participation, so mainly women participated our study. Other demographic information about the participants is included in the following slides. One of our question is how does he or she describe his or her relationship? Mainly they describe their relationship as a flirtation. 20% of them describe fiance, and 5% of them describe as engaged. What is the duration of their relationship? Mainly 0 to 2 years, then 3 to 5 years, then 5 years and above. Is he or she thinking of getting married with current partner? 72% of them thinks getting married, yes, and nearly 6.5% says no, and the rest of it undecided. How often does he or she experience conflict in his or her relationships? The main participant says 74% of them says sometimes had a conflict, and then often, and then never, and then always. Our data collection tools were Irrational Romantic Relationship Beliefs Inventory, Irrational Beliefs Test, Heartland Forgiveness Scale, and Relationship Satisfaction Inventory. When we come to analysis of data, before analyzing the data collected from participants, the data of 22 people who left the form systematically blank were excluded from the analysis. After that, we did the normality and linearity analysis, and that showed that parametric tests can be applied on the data. Results. Before the correlation and multiple linear regression analysis, it was tested whether forgiveness differed according to some variables, such as gender, relationship definition, marriage planning, frequency of conflict. According to these results of the analysis, the forgiveness levels of university students differ just only according to the conflict frequency variable. The results of Kruskal-Wallis hash test was presented in table 1. The reason that we made Kruskal-Wallis hash test because we have less than 30 observations in our subgroups. For example, never had a 13 participants. Then we, because of this, we did Kruskal-Wallis hash test. According to this test results, the forgiveness differs according to conflict frequency, and the difference between subgroups, never and sometimes, never and often, and sometimes and often groups. You can see the mean ranks. Again, as a result of Kruskal-Wallis hash test, the difference between the ranking average of conflict frequency groups was found to be statistically significant. Results of the correlation analysis just before the multiple linear regression, we made the Pearson correlation analysis, and as you can see, the table in the correlation analysis performed to determine the relationships between variables on the data, it was seen that forgiveness showed a statistically significant positive correlation with relationship satisfaction, 0.38, while the irrational beliefs about romantic relationships, negative 0.33, and general irrational beliefs, negative 0.46, were found to show a significant negative correlation. Then we performed the multiple regression analysis. In table 3, you can see the results of the multiple regression analysis. According to results of the regression analysis, determine the predictive effect of independent variables on forgiveness. The irrational beliefs about romantic relationship, general irrational beliefs, and relationship satisfaction together predicted 31% of forgiveness significantly. You can see the values. The relative importance order of the predictive variables describing forgiveness is general irrational beliefs. Beta is minus 0.36. Relationship satisfaction, beta value is 0.26, and the irrational beliefs about romantic relationships, beta equals minus 0.15. When we come the discussion section, according to the findings of this research, there is a significant relationship between the levels of forgiveness of university students with romantic relationships and their general irrational beliefs about romantic relationships and relationship satisfaction levels. In addition, general irrational beliefs in romantic relationships and relationship satisfaction were found to significantly predict forgiveness. Accordingly, it is possible to say that the behavior of forgiveness decreases when individuals' irrational beliefs about both general and romantic relationships increase and their satisfaction with their relationships decreases. Therefore, it is considered important to emphasize the role of cognitions in studies on forgiveness, and maybe some experimental research designs can be done in future. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Aikul sir, for your wonderful presentation. And if anybody has a question, they can put it in the chat box. The speaker will try to answer you there. Moving ahead with the last presenter of the day, Baris Kalender, Faculty of Education, Gaziantep University, Gaziantep, Turkey. His topic is opinions of classroom teachers working in primary school without school counselors on the conduct of counseling services. You can also read the abstract. And now we'll see the video presentation.
I am Barış from Turkey. My topic is opinions of classroom teachers working in primary school without school counselors on the conduct of counseling services. I would like to briefly talk about the background of this study. I am working as a research assistant at Gaziantep University Department of Classroom Teacher. The other author I could call work as a research assistant in the guidance department of the same university. Before I became a research assistant, I worked as a classroom teacher in primary school for about 5 years. These schools were village schools, and there were not it was a serious challenge for us in running the guidance services, because the guiding service is a comprehensive service with many dimensions. I shared this experience with my friends, who is the other author of this study, and given the potential of this topic to be a research topic, we both decided to investigate it. My professional experience and my friends' academic knowledge in this field encouraged us to carry out this study. Introduction section. Guidance services are an integral part of the education system, with activities such as orientation, measurement and evaluation, and placement in school according to the students' interests and abilities. Every school is required to carry out guidance services. However, some primary schools in Turkey don't have a school counselor to carry out the guidance service. Due to the current number of students, their location far from the center, usually these are village schools, and the lack of adequate appointments in employing school counselors. The fact that every school has an obligation to carry out the guidance service, but not every school has a school counselor, bring with it a paradox that is difficult to solve. Of course, carrying out guidance services is not the duty of the school counselors alone, but the common mission of the whole school. However, the limited guidance training that teachers from different branches, especially classroom teachers, receive in the teacher training program is not enough to carry out this mission independently, but to support it. To put it simply, it is thought that the teachers in other branches cannot carry out all aspects of the guidance services loaded on each school comprehensively without the professional of this field. It has been a matter of curiosity how the situation, which was seen as problematic by us, turned into a reality in the field. In order to satisfy our curiosity, we decided to carry out this study in order to understand the way in which primary school teachers who don't have school counselor conduct these services. A detailed literature review hasn't found such a research topic from this perspective. In this direction, the purpose of this study is to try to reveal how classroom teachers working in primary school without school counselor carry out guidance services, what kind of difficulties they are encounter, and in which situation they need the support of school counselor. For this purpose, of the questions of this research are as follows: how do classroom teachers who work in primary schools without school counselor evaluate their self-efficacy regarding guidance services? In addition, what kind of difficulties do classroom teachers in this situation encounter in this process, and what suggestions do they offer to overcome these difficulties? Method section. This research was conducted as a case study. The participants of this study consist of 8 classroom teachers working in 3 public primary schools in 2 different provincial districts of a metropolitan city in Turkey. Data collection. The data of this study were collected through a semi-structured interview in the fall semesters of the 2019-2020 academic year. In the creation of this interview form, it was created as a result of the literature review, and the pool of questions obtained was presented to the opinions of 3 different field experts. Corrections were made in line with the opinions of the experts, and then, as a result of the field interviews with the classroom teachers, a 10-question form was reached. Afterwards, in the interview were held with the participants for between 15 and 25 minutes. These interviews were recorded with the permission of the participants. The recordings of the interviews were first transcribed by both researchers, and the generated transcripts were compared. As a result of this, the researchers conducted content analysis independently on the common transcript, and quotes and terms were compared. In this way, we think that we contribute to the credibility and dependability of the study by making research triangulation. Next section, results. As a result of this research, 4 themes were reached as a result of data analysis. When we examine the table, it is seen how the classroom teachers perceive their duties and responsibilities in the sense of guidance. It is understood that they perceive these services as containing the existing program prepared by the Minister of National Education. Considering the difficulties they face, it is seen that they have difficulties in identifying behavioral disorders and developing a reaction against it. They evaluated undergraduate education in terms of fulfilling these duties and responsibilities, it is understood that they consider undergraduate education insufficient in terms of lack of practice. Next is guidance activities carry out and contribution of these activities. It has been revealed that the guidance activities carry out contribute to the teacher, student, and teaching process. Next theme is situation where classroom teacher need the support of the school counselor. It is seen that the classroom teachers participate in the study need the support of a school counselor in terms of students, families, and improving the school's climate in positive way. The last them is suggestions of classroom teachers for more effective conduct of guidance services. It is seen that the participants of the study developed especially practice-based suggestions for both undergraduate education and in-service training so that they can carry out a better guidance service as a classroom teacher. Last section is suggestions. We have some suggestions to the politics forum result of this research. Of course, our first suggestion is to appoint a school counselor to each school as the use of facilities is forced. If primary schools where school counselors cannot be provided will continue to be in effect as a long-term policy, the inclusion of an implied or internship-based course that will increase the knowledge and skills of the classroom teachers who will work in this school and provide them with practical skills in their teacher education. In addition, in the current situation, this personnel can be included in service training programs so that all personnel working in these schools can carry out this training in cooperation to reach better results. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Barso, for your lovely presentation. And if anybody has any question, they can write it in the chat box. Now we'll just sum up with the conference. Thank you, everyone. With a great pleasure and enthusiasm, I would like to conclude that the conference was a great success. Many people have contributed in the different ways to turn this event into a smoothly running conference with very interesting presentation. This conference has resulted in good discussions and networking. I owe my gratitude to all the presenters and patient listeners, to the coordinators and the whole staff of Eurasia Research for their constant support. I would also like to thank all the universities and institutes who have sponsored our participants and people who have directly or indirectly contributed in the smooth conduct of the conference. You can also check our upcoming conferences. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. You're most welcome. All right, and would you like to share your feedback? Listen, ma'am, can you hear us? Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the chance of being participated in a conference, and I am terribly sorry that I have to switch off the camera for a little while because I need to move my current location, but I have always been listening through my earphones, and I noticed that some of the topics today have covered the issues that I have been personally thinking about. Some others have opened my kind of blind spot that I have never been think of before. For example, I remember at the very first keynote speech, it mentions the sorry, I'm referring to my notes. It's about the user-generated content about Web 2.0. mentioned as an emerging technologies amidst the pandemic. And because I have received an email to ask me to prepare some topics based on how false news is spreaded. And coincidentally, I have also prepared, I also mentioned the user-generated content in terms of the spread of false news, because I believe that these kind of user-generated platform also contributes to the spread of false news. And I've also been thinking about how can we solve this problem of stop spreading false news from the perspective of education, that it has been the topic of our conference today. And I believe in terms of education, we might as educators, of course, I am the one who is being educated right now still because I'm a student, but hopefully educators can guide the future students to form a habit of independently thinking and discerning the information instead of helping to spread the news regardless of its authenticity. And I believe that's one thing that education can help in terms of the spreading. And I also know that the mass media also plays a role in spreading this news, because sometimes there might be profits that they want to earn, so they made some negatively sensational news trying to catch people's eyes and attentions. And yeah, that's all so far I could think of. And thank you again, because today has really been wonderful.
Thank you so much, Listener Ma'am, for your wonderful views. Rajkumar sir, can you share your feedback?
Yeah, first I want to say thank you very much to you for your being the chair. You did a good job. Appreciate that. I think the topics were varied and it was quite interesting. And I think we get different perspectives. I was rushing a little bit with my presentation because I had another appointment, but I want to say that I wanted to bring to the information of our participants here that South Africa, being a developing country, they are experiencing a lot of problems in terms of poverty, socioeconomic status, and because I feel that there's a need for government to make changes and to improve the situation, and this is what it is. But for everyone else who presented their papers, I want to say thank you very much to you people as well. A job well done. Thank you to all, and all the best.
Thank you so much, Rajkumar sir, for your lovely presentation and for your words. We are honored to have you here. Korikana sir, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please share your...
Yes. All the presenters are very well explained, and the topics were also related to the relevant and purely education based, and some are counseling based, and some are Bloom's taxonomy in different countries. The presentations were very nice. I was thoroughly enjoyed, and thank you organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. So have a great day ahead, everyone, and bye-bye.